your body at 9. But you got some parents that just don't know any better. To them, that's good food. That's good snack food, you know? It's really not. Shout out to good parents who already know that. Kevin writes, it's time for justice for Sam DuBose. We're tired of waiting. I feel you. But it's been very interesting how everything is kind of fallen into place. Everything is kind of falling into place. There's something that we need to talk about. There was a recent study done about the city of Cincinnati, okay? And, well, here's what they're finding out. Cincinnati is among the cities across the country that most resemble the demographic makeup of America in the 1950s. There's a data journalism site, 538. They've got an interesting breakdown of what the term normal America means in the context of the presidential race. Okay? Today, that's a more diverse, educated place than it was in the 1950s. But Cincinnati and Ohio as a whole skew toward more toward America's whiter, less educated past, according to the site. Interesting. Had you heard about that? I may post a link. Just let me know. Really? Living in Ohio my entire life, living in Hamilton County my entire life in multiple areas, I'd like to know, is that true? I will say one thing is that with all the efforts that were made to diversify, it does seem as if the city of Cincinnati is extremely segregated. And I know there's some attempts to be more cosmopolitan. And listen, you can go downtown to Main Street when it's really popping and it's thick down there. You're just going to see a sea of humanity. It's quite nice. It really is. It's bittersweet because I know people were displaced. But damn it, it's just... you can have fun now as an adult. What's wrong with that? What's up with the city of Cincinnati in the state of Ohio? Now, a lot of people are going to say just off the top, yes, 1950s, yes. Some of these folks in the city act just like that. And we've seen, I mean, look at the ongoing persecution of Tracy Hunter. I mean, that's a scene like plucked straight from the history books, right? Who thought that something like that could happen these days? But it's happening. That is deep. To me, Cincinnati is only as strong as its weakest neighborhood and the most insecure family in that neighborhood. And Cincinnati's on the come up, certainly. I just want to make sure that everybody has a chance to come up with the city. You know, the city's, you know, to do business with the city, to participate on multiple levels with the city, right? To benefit from the growth in the city. That's what I want to make sure of. Rhonda writes, John, would you still feel that way? Should move on if your child are better? Yet if it was a teacher in the classroom who told a teenager to do something, or he or she didn't do it, then the teacher believes that way, that the officer did? That officer was nuts. Charles writes, obesity in America is at an all-time high. The powder on the Flamin' Hot Cheetos is flammable. What? Tanika writes, Nate, my daughter gets offended if she's offered anything other than water, and she's 5. I trained her young, LOL. Absolutely, Tonika. My daughter's the same way. Now, if I let her, she would drink nothing but juice all day long. But we don't really have juice in the house. That's number one. She's got one option. She's got warm water or cold water. How you want it, baby girl? Oh, you want to get you some milk? You can go in there and get you some almond milk. Because as 2 grown adults, we don't drink cow milk anymore. It's nasty. No, I did it when I was a kid. I'm not, Brent writes, yeah, post that link. I want to check that out, Nate. Okay, I will do that for you. I got it from the good folks over at City Beat Magazine. They do daily reports about what's going on, and sometimes I check them out. You need to see this. 1950s? So you're saying that on some level, Cincinnati, in terms of our demographic makeup, that we resemble the 1950s. less diverse, less educated. What? I mean, does that ring true to you? Let's see. Omar writes, it's true, Nate. One of the reasons I went back to New York. Right. John writes, I'm not just sour, just an observation. And since you missed part of my comment, I'll repost it. Next time you go on Google, instead of searching officer misconduct or police brutality, type officer assaulted or officer killed. Now, John, I've already gone over this. I never use those search terms. I don't think I ever have. Actually. And I don't need to, John, because there's so many examples of police officers gone wild that all you have to do is just go to your usual places where you get news. Okay? He writes, the result you get from the latter search will give you 10 times the amount of hits, and most will be recent, probably from the past 24 hours. And I don't mean you specifically, Nate. I meant the collective you, as in anyone. This is your form, and you can read my messages and relay them with any sentiment that you want. But the fact of the matter remains, I've never heard you give kudos for officers doing jobs well done or give sympathy on a regular basis when officers are killed or injured. To me, supporting law enforcement means doing all of that and being critical of officer misconduct. That's all. Oh, yeah, and good morning. At Rhonda, of course, I wouldn't move on if it was my kid. No one would. Okay, great. That's John. And I think I accurately captured the spirit of him, of what he had to say. John's a little heated. And number one, John, calm down. Calm down. And I can read, as I'm reading what you said, it's just screaming to me, okay? I get it. But there's a couple things in which I completely disagree with you. Number one is I disagree with your definition of what supporting an officer is. I completely disagree with you. I don't necessarily have to do it your way to support law enforcement. That's number one. And number two, as I already told you, no one really has to dig for this. This information about what's going on with police officers is out there. And you know who you got to blame for this, John? Other officers. I mean, maybe not cats like you, because you seem like a good dude. I know a lot of officers on the CPD, all good people, family men in some cases, great people. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the ones who keep making national headlines. Okay, that's where your problem is, John. So, no, I, in fact, do support law enforcement. And on many occasions, when I see it, I have given mass props and kudos to police officers. And I'm going to continue doing it that way, John. Okay, like it or not. John. And see, here's the thing, John. Here's the challenge for you. Because I can read that you're very sensitive. The challenge for you is that you have to understand that when people are criticizing police officers, that's coming from a very real place. That's coming from a very real place. That's not it's not the popular thing to do, or it's not intentional to like paint police officers in a bad way. But there's people out there who've had their own personal experiences where they felt mistreated by police. And so when you go to the news and you see other examples, it only amplifies that. Now, law enforcement is going to have to stop being so sensitive about that. And if you're really serious about it, then take your own advice. When you know there's an officer that's doing something wrong, call him out. Call him out before it starts to make national headlines. That's what you should do, in my opinion. Ed writes, if Hillary calls in the T&I show, then I know she's for real. Kita writes, damn, someone's in his feelings. Ms. D writes, Nate, am I not supposed to be drinking cow's milk? No, you're not. No, you're not. Not as a grown adult, no. Why? Right, you can get your dairy, you can get your vitamin D from other places. There's a lot of hormones that they use in these cows. It's passed on to the milk. A lot is very well documented. And there's so many other better alternatives where you can still get protein. And again, you can get your vitamin D from either supplements, or maybe you just swing your diet a little more towards something else. But no cow's milk. How about almond milk? I would even take soy milk, although in men, there are some studies that suggest that too much soy can mess with your testosterone levels, and no man wants that, do you? Testosterone levels? You don't want that. I want my testosterone level right where it is. Thank you, please. Kenny writes, oh, my jaw. He was bigging up my police officers. What are you talking about? I don't know. John just got in his feelings. Brent writes, you don't have to search for anything on the net. It just shows up. Right. It just shows up. But see, come on. John's a good guy. And then this is not about John, but what I've noticed in some officers is that they get overly sensitive when people just talk about what's put out in front of them. Freen writes, preach, Nathan. Carolyn writes, love my almond milk. Shannon writes, cashew milk is also good. No to soy, right. Brent writes, teach on that milk with the pus in it, Nate. Right, yeah. No cow's milk. No, of a certain age, because there's just so many healthy alternatives. I'll tell you another thing that people have a big problem with. I don't know why. We riff on everything here since we go in there. It's cheese. Americans are addicted to cheese. Now, I would love to do business with the cheese people. I'm going to say that up front. Now, you can hear me say this. I'm being honest with you. If any cheese people are listening right now. But until that happens, I'm going to deliver these flows. You know, pizza, cheese delivery device. Cheese has been put in so many different things as a filler. I talked to a man. He was like my first guest when I was doing a 5 a.m. show. Okay, about a couple years back. Wrote a book all about it. The cheese people, they have a captive audience. But, you know, you've got non-dairy cheese. There's a lot of ways to get your vitamin D. And you can still consume it, right, if you like that on your sandwiches or whatever. But you can do it in a healthier way. You know, as you get older, your diet has to change, right? Again, I spent a lot of time with my grandparents, so I saw their diets changing as they got older. So this is something that's just is in me. Ms. D writes, but I love milk with my cereal. I am so sad, but I guess I will try almond milk. Well, listen, here's what I usually do when I'm doing the cereal thing. You might want to take it and put it in a freezer for about 15, 20 minutes right before you're going to use it. That way it gets really ice cold. Jerica writes, the pus? Yeah. The milk. Yes. James writes, I have friends and family that are police. Some I like, some I do not. But John, just listening to you whine, it seems like you must have something in your jacket that got you all sensitive. A bad cop is just that, a bad cop. And when the so-called good cops back the bad ones up, guess what that makes them? Bad too, right. Ms. D writes, okay, I'm going to log off. First my cow's milk, and now you're going after my cheese? I don't eat milk and cheese for vitamin D. I get it, Ms. D. I'll stop. Okay, John's back. All right, let me see if I can capture. Let me scan it quickly mentally. Okay, great. Capture the essence of what he's trying to say. John writes, I'm not sensitive about it. I'm not angry. I could have written a lot of what I said many times before. You bring up these examples on a daily basis, and I have an opinion. But I usually keep quiet because I don't want to hijack your flow and the flows of the others here. I just choose this morning to interact. The police brutality shows up very frequently in the news cycle because it is very rare and very disturbing when seen on video. Okay, John, well, then, if it's so rare, then why do you feel as if we talk about it a lot? I talk about it when it comes up in the news. That's because it's not rare, John. It's quite frequent. It's really like one a week. It's the truth. Let me back up here. I choose this morning to interact. The police brutality shows up very frequently in the news cycle because it is very rare and very disturbing when seen on video. Kind of like when a gorilla gets killed at a zoo. Oh, and James, I reached out to you and even offered to let you ride with me, and the offer still stands. But you above many do seem to have a bias against cops. No disrespect, just an observation. Okay, that's John. He's got his opinion, okay? We can agree to disagree on some issues. You know how I roll. Ed writes, LMAO, Nate, don't want to even get on the wrong side of sponsors. Oh, that's how it works? Shaking my head. That's right, Ed. See, thanks for calling me out on that, Ed. I appreciate it. Just having a little fun with you. That's it.